After some very sciencey videos recently talking about the three energy systems and the ins and outs of threshold intervals compared to long tempos, I thought I would use myself as a case study to outline my thought process and how I'm going to progress my training. The first half of this video will outline my current situation, and the second half will be packed full of knowledge that you can consider for your own training. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Today I thought we'd talk a bit more about myself as a runner and using myself as a case study to tell you a bit about stuff that I would do for myself to become a better runner. Because obviously a lot of you have heard already and you're probably fed up of hearing this, but I haven't really improved in a few years and I know exactly why now. And that's also because I did a 10K time trial recently and a 5K time trial. So I know how I felt in those time trials and I kind of know where I'm at and what I need to work on. So let's talk about that in this video. We're in beautiful Kings Park today, which is amazing because yeah, I'm never really walking around here. I'm normally running here, so I don't have this camera to show the beauty of the park, but I'm excited to make it a 2-in-1 vlog, tell you a bit about my running, but also show you how beautiful this park is. So again, just to give a bit of context for the newer viewers, because I have gained a lot of subscribers recently. I think it's about 900 new subscribers in the past 28 days, which is amazing. Thank you so much for joining the club. I guess the background of my running is that I started off with shorter distance, triathlon, sprint distance, and yeah, this place is beautiful by the way. But I was more of like a 5K, 10K runner as a high school guy. I progressed on pretty rapidly into the ultra marathon and really skipped the half and the full marathon kind of thing. So I'm in a weird place that not many people can relate with, but that makes for an interesting case study for everyone and you can kind of learn a lot from this. So in 2022, that was kind of the final little bit of where I was focusing on 5K and 10K. I was still improving at the time, so I was motivated. I ran a 15:40 5K after running like 15:50 and a ton of other times before that. Whoa, I think a tree just kind of fell. By the way, I will try and get up there later to show you how sick that is, because that is nice views and you're not allowed to run on it, but I'm walking today, so it's a perfect time to show you that. It's hard to focus on the topic, isn't it? But 2022 was my prime year in terms of 5K, 10K, PB'd in the 10K, 32:42, PB'd in the 5K, 15:40, and I also ran like 15:43, 15:47, 15:49, 15:48. I did a lot of consistent 5Ks in the 15:40s, and my 15:40 was at the end of the year, and I made a lot of progress that year. But ever since then, I've unfortunately hit a massive plateau, haven't really improved that much, and it does actually make sense, because I remember thinking at the time, the 15:40 felt really easy. I was aerobically fit. I closed in like a 3:01, which is like 15:05, 5K pace obviously. So it still felt like I had a bit left in the tank. But after that, I just stopped enjoying doing speed work. I had less people to train with as well, because being a 15:40 5K runner in Sydney at the time was really no man's land. Like, I feel like I have a lot of friends who run sub 15 5Ks and barely anyone I know runs a low 15-minute 5K, especially at the time. So it was an awkward spot to be. With respect, I was a little bit too quick for a lot of the people I knew, but I also was way too slow for a lot of my other friends I knew who were just way quicker and more talented and faster. It was either I do speed sessions alone, which is absolutely brutal. I wasn't a fan of that. Or I start to enjoy a different aspect of life and head into the trails and just enjoy being in nature and that sort of thing. And yeah, I started loving that, but completely stopped doing speed sessions and putting myself out there, doing park runs frequently to send it in the last K and, you know, really work on that VO2 max and stuff like that. Anyway, the unfortunate thing about this is that I was getting slower and it was going to be inevitable. The thing is though, I really enjoy trail running, so it was a no-brainer for me to do what I want to do. And if you look at me long term, I'm not going to be in the sport forever if I burn out and start hating the sport. So it was kind of a necessary transition. And it doesn't mean that I was going to get super unfit or, you know, slow in the 5K. Like, I still, with ultramarathon training, run a few okay 5K times, like 16 flat, 16:10, 16:12, and a few others with purely ultramarathon training and no VO2 max work. So you can still maintain a certain level of fitness, but you just lose that top end speed where you can redline it for a long time. But I feel like I wasn't really analyzing the pros and cons of like ultramarathon training and 5K training. I think it's just what I felt was right in the moment. So I didn't really plan it and I just ended up doing what I wanted to do. So there wasn't really much thought put into it. max. I think one thing I didn't really think in my head at the time was my VO2 max, and I didn't really explicitly think this in my head, but I probably thought that my VO2 max isn't going to go down that much even if I go to ultramarathon training. I thought I'd be able to maintain it with doing the very occasional amount of speed or whatever, but that's not how it works. And I think right now my VO2 max has significantly gone down since 2022. It's pretty hard to maintain VO2 max when you're not frequently exposing yourself to that feeling of breathing hard and stuff, because it's to do with the oxygen consumption. It's not just a matter of speed. You need to spend a lot of time breathing hard, and I think I should have thought it more through and had a couple of short VO2 max blocks at least once a year to maintain just a little bit of that VO2 max. But I feel like I just completely ditched speed for a solid 3 years, and yeah, now I'm seeing the repercussions of not doing speed at all. So yeah, again, I'm a big fan of doing everything by feel. I don't have all the money to do the lab testing and all that, so I'll continue to run by feel, but I can definitely tell that my VO2 max has gone down, and I've only finally really being honest with myself that I know that it's significantly gone down. But in the grand scheme of things, I think that's totally fine, because at least I know that this is something that I can improve on. And I've had a higher VO2 max before, so if I commit to a VO2 max block, I will slowly make my way back to it. I'm not going to get back to it in 8 weeks. I'm probably going to need to do an 8-week block and then settle down back to threshold for a bit, and then do another 8-week block to like really see some significant improvements, but it'll be better than not doing anything. So once I get over this little niggle that I have right now, for those of you that don't know, I fell in the trail. Yeah, once I get over from that, we are definitely getting back into VO2 max. Don't click off the video yet though, because I'm going to go through a really different method in terms of how I'm going to improve my VO2 compared to other people. Also, if you can drop a little like on the video right now, that would be hugely appreciated. But now, let's talk about my recent 5K and 10K to let you know my experience and how I was feeling in those two. Because to be honest with you, I haven't even fully reflected and analyzed those two performances yet. So I might get my phone out and we can talk through what exactly happened and what my thoughts are on the splits and how I ran it and stuff like that. I found a very appropriate location to do this. Place of reflection. This is honestly super nice. Like, I feel like I need to come walk here more often. It's a beautiful park. I mean, look at this. Alright, let's do some reflection here. So firstly, let's recap the 5K time trial that I did to get an idea of where I'm at. September 27th, I ran a 16:13 5K. I'm pretty good at gauging what fitness I'm at in the current moment, so I knew at the time that 16:40 should be possible even if I have a pretty bad day. So I was like, let's go out at 3:20 and see what happens, because that's a really safe way of guaranteeing that I can still negative split. Worst case scenario, I even split at 16:40, because 3:20 per K is 16:40. I went out first K, 3:20, second K, 3:20. I did this pretty much by feel. It was just what felt right in the moment. Anyway, third K, 3:14, fourth K, 3:12, and last K, 3:08. 3:08 is pretty significant because that's actually my 5K PB pace. So at my best, I would have been holding that for 5K straight, but at least I managed to creep up to 5K PB pace for the last K. So that was actually a good sign that, you know, I'm not miles and miles off it. I'm close enough, but I need to do some quality VO2 max work to make 3:08 feel way easier than it did. Because the first 3 to 4K felt pretty good. I'm aerobically fit, but as soon as we got back to 5K PB pace of 3:08, that's when I was like, this pace does not feel as good as it used to, and I'm not used to breathing hard, so it just felt a little bit, you know, uncomfortable, and understandably so, because ultramarathon training, base training can only get you so far. And more recently, I did a 10K time trial, or it was a race. It was on the track, so it was a great opportunity to run exactly 10Ks. The race was free as well, so I was like, why not do this 10K time trial, get an idea of where I'm at. Didn't really think I was going to race until a couple of days out. Anyway, I ran a 33:30, which is, you know, better than I thought. Came second, pretty happy with that. My mentality that day was that I got nothing to lose, but I also want to get a good gauge of where my fitness is at. But also, I knew that that race was going to be interesting because it was either I cling on to the 32:30 pack, shout out to Carlos for pacing that, or I'm running in no man's land alone and copying the headwind on the back straight, even though you get a tailwind on the home straight, I guess. But I wasn't really keen to be running straight into the headwind for like the entire first 4Ks. So I decided to go kamikaze style, Japanese style, go a little quicker than I knew I could. I knew that 32:30 was impossible because my PB is 32:42 and I'm nowhere near that shape right now. So I did run a bit slower, but luckily I did no splits slower than 3:30. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think I wouldn't call it a major blow up, but it was a blow up for sure, and I was expecting it. So I had to control the blow up. Now, some of you might argue and say, that's a stupid way to run a 10K. Like, you always preach that pacing IQ matters and whatever. But my take on this situation actually is that, honestly, sometimes it's good to run stupid because you really train the mind to cling on for dear life. Because the amount of times I wanted to drop out of that 10K was absolutely insane because it was very, very painful. It was a painful way to run it. So honestly, in hindsight, I am kind of happy that I did this sort of pacing for once, because once in a while, it's good to struggle hard and like really redline. Easily top 3 hardest races of my life. Like so many laps, I was like, I could drop out here. Like it's a track race. I can just stop at any point and just chill and watch the rest of the race. But I was determined to get somewhat of a baseline 5K. I ended up being less than a minute from my 10K PB, so it's pretty hard to complain. It was like 50 seconds off or something. 49 seconds, 48 seconds, something like that. But here's the thing. So what I could tell from those 2 time trials is that I'm not used to breathing hard for a long time. And I reached the point where I'm breathing hard a bit quicker than I want nowadays at a slower pace as well. So I feel like I really do need to stress the cardiorespiratory system a little bit more, because doing aerobic runs, I'm breathing easy the whole time, probably keeping my heart rate quite low as well. So I need to expose myself to that stimulus, which is going to tell my body, hey, you need to adapt to this, otherwise you're going to struggle when you do this again in the future. I think now is finally the time where I take action on it. But one interesting thing though is that taking action on this isn't as hard as it sounds. I don't need to be doing really specific VO2 max work, and I realized this when I was in the trail right before I fell and injured myself. I have bone bruising in the knee. But basically, I was just using the trail to sometimes sprint really hard effort up the hill and try and make myself breathe really hard in the middle of the long run. And obviously I don't recommend people send it in the long run and, you know, make yourself breathe hard, but luckily that trail was super chill. Yeah, I was running with people that don't often run in the trail, so we weren't going quick at all. So I just wanted to intermittently break it up with some harder breathing. So I purposely absolutely sent it up the hills. And then before I got back to easy breathing, I would send it again to stress the system even more and try and spend more time breathing hard, because I want that adaptation. But it is important to know that the downside of this is that when you're running uphill in the trail, you're obviously not running quick. I'm probably running like 420 per K up a really steep incline, and I'm not getting the biomechanical benefit of running quick, because running with good form is also important. You want to be able to run with good form because, like I always talk about, speed at VO2 max or velocity at VO2 max is really important. You need to be able to run quick at VO2 max, otherwise it means nothing. So that's pretty much why I wouldn't always recommend you do the method of sprinting up a really steep hill in the trail, because you're not really going to get used to running quick at VO2 max. All you're doing there is working on the VO2 max, not the speed part. Yes, obviously you get a bit of strength from running uphill and tolerance to running on an incline. Another benefit of doing VO2 max on the hills is that there's less biomechanical stress or impact force because it's going uphill compared to a flat. But overall, I still think it's better to do a lot of VO2 max sessions on the flat if you want to do specific training and get fast as soon as possible. So there's still benefits that you can get from it, but for someone like me that enjoys the trail and also wants to get quick, it's good to trickle that in as well, so that I don't get bored of just going to the track, because I find the track so boring and I can't think of anything worse than doing a VO2 max session every single week. So even if it means I improve a bit slower, because again, I'm not doing the best training for velocity at VO2 max, right now I'm at the stage where I think my running form is good enough that as long as I can get used to breathing hard for a long period of time, I think I can get to a moderate level that I'll be satisfied with. And once I'm there, I'll probably have the motivation to do the final touches to become really quick after that. So right now, I still want to enjoy it, so I'm going to mix the VO2 training with trail still. So I'm not just thinking about how I'm going to improve the most efficient way, I'm also thinking about how am I going to still enjoy running. So I think that's the main thing I want to talk about in this video. There's a lot of ways to train, right? I can focus on VO2 max and hit the track every single week, but I'm not going to enjoy that, and I'm not going to stay in running for a long period of time if I do that. And I care more about longevity, because we all know that there's nothing that replaces years and years of running. So I'm thinking more from a long-term standpoint. That's going to be helpful, even if it means that I'm not going to get quick in a short amount of time. So this is the level of individual coaching I want for myself, because with coaching, you got to think holistically. You got to think about motivations for running. Why do you run? What do you enjoy about running? Do you like the trails or not? Do you like experimenting with different distances? Like, all these factors are going to change how you train And that's why I find it hard to get a coach, because no coach is gonna know me better than me. But this is also why I like it when my athletes are very, very open about a lot of things and they give me a lot of information. The more info I have, the better it is, because there are multiple ways to get good at running, and it's important to do it in the most sustainable way. So context matters. I think that's the main thing. Individualized training. Think about what you want. Think about what you want to get out of running and go from there. Bit of a rambling video today, but yeah, hope you enjoyed. I think it is truly important to not be completely metric based and think about enjoyment in the sport sometimes, you know? And after a few videos talking purely about how to become a better runner, I think it is important to chat about this side of running as well sometimes. So hope this is of any value. If it was, leave a like, comment below. Let me know if you want more videos like this. Let me know what you want me to talk about next as well. I'm happy to make more videos about how to become a better runner in the most efficient way and not the side quest way like what I like to do. But follow me on Strava and you'll see the side quest way, and hopefully I can show you that that's a good way to train as well. But anyway, I will see you in the next video.